America's Voice Now. We're back. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host here. Like it or not. Of course, if you don't like it, you can always change the channel. I know. I don't want you to. Sometimes people just don't like reality to reach up and go, ksh, ksh. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who I've known for 25 years. I used to work for him when I worked for Verizon. Good friend, Nick. And I'm talking to Nick, and he lives back in my old stomping grounds on the East Coast. And we were talking for a while, and he finally says to me, "You know, you're depressing to talk to." And I said, "I know, bro, and I apologize, but if I don't share the truth with you, then I'd be deleterious in my duty as your friend." We were talking about, he's got a family and how they should have a exit strategy, if you will, that if things ever get bad, politically, financially, fiscally, whatever, how he could get away from an urban community that would become, quite frankly, dangerous. So, but, it is true. I know people don't like to hear bad news. People don't like to be challenged, and they don't like what they know to be true in the back of their minds brought right out to the front of the conversation. And I'm sorry. I get it. And I suppose that's part of what, makes this unpopular, because we've become a nation of people who are willing to lay the blame at somebody else's feet, never our own. And we're well practiced at it, I might add. We've become a nation that always wants to point the finger at somebody else and say, it's not my fault, it's their fault. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, it's not their fault, it's our fault. It's our fault for not knowing and being unwilling to watchdog those who we knew were in a position to do us harm, and we knew would, given the opportunity. How else can I express it? We knew that they would abuse the power because, well, history tells us everybody does. And we sat here and pretended, nah, these guys are different. Come on. Look at any one of those sophomoric rubes up there in the White House and over in Congress, and tell me any one of those people you would trust to walk your dog. And to bring it back home to this particular topic, we've got the same problem in our local communities. It's not just in D.C., it's not just in our state capitals, it's in our own towns and cities. There's an article I put up on Facebook and on Patriot FB and America's Voice Now this morning, where it's entitled Spy Game. Local police tap cell phones. And this is relating to a case in Tallahassee, Florida, where, and the opening gambit and the opening statement is just perfect. It says, the National Security Agency apparently isn't the only government agency engaged in domestic spying. Local law enforcement is playing the role of Big Brother too, but to what extent is still unknown. Court documents are revealing that basically what they were doing was this Florida Police Department in Tallahassee was put up something called a Stingray. I've talked to you about this before. It's a technological piece of equipment that basically, and I posted up a sister article on it called Meet the Machines That Steal Your Phone's Data from Ars Technical, which is a great group. And they explain to you what these Stingrays are. And essentially what they are is they attach them to a cell phone tower, and all of the information and the contact and the communication, the text, the GPS coordinates of every phone out there is translated straight through a pipe to them. And it passes through to the cell phone, to the carrier, so your call still goes through. But while you're talking to your sister, or you're talking to your mother, or you're talking to your partner in crime, doesn't make a difference, right? They're capturing your geography, they're capturing your texting, and they're capturing your voice calls. And unlike the NSA, they don't care whether they store it or not, because nobody's watching these people. Now, they attempted to keep this whole thing secret, even from the judges involved. which ought to raise all kinds of flags. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the flags on this play ought to be flying like confetti after the Super Bowl. The article says, recent court documents reveal a troubling cell phone surveillance program conducted by a Florida police department against unsuspecting cell phone users. They attempted to keep the practice secret, even from judges, and it's raising questions as to just how prevalent police spying is within the Sunshine State. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just the Sunshine State. This just happens to be a Sunshine State watchdog group. But it's nationwide. They arrested this guy named James Thomas. He was a suspect that they believed to be in the possession of a stolen phone. So you got to stop right there and ask yourself this question. You mean to tell me that your Fourth Amendment right, your First Amendment right, all of that, your Fifth Amendment rights, are being stripped from you so Betty can get her cell phone back? What? They located and arrested Thomas by tracking his cell phone signal and then promptly searched his home. Later on, during the court case, it became known that the police didn't seek a warrant, and they didn't admit using the little-known surveillance device called Stingray. It's a small mobile device that tracks cell phone users, and it connects to them if they are any way connected to a cell phone tower. The technology gives police the ability to track phone movements and intercept phone calls and text messages of any cell phone within its range. In the court case, Thomas's attorneys asked police how they determined the defendant had the cell phone in question, and the police declined to answer in an open trial. Does the word police state come to mind? A judge ordered the response, but only after he cleared the courtroom and sealed the official record. Stop right there. If that's not confirmation that the police state is in place, nothing is. Go back to our last segment. Everything's a secret. Now it's an appeal. And courtroom deliberations during the appeal revealed last week that the Tallahassee police used the Stingray 200 times since 2010. And not a single time did they get a warrant. 200 times. Now, let's recognize something. During those 200 uses, they weren't just capturing, Captain Criminal's information. They were capturing Captain Criminal's information along with the information from thousands of other users, all of whom have been digitally raped by the Tallahassee Police Department. The appeals court judge says, this record makes it very clear that Tallahassee Police Department were not going to get a search warrant because they had never gotten a search warrant before for this technology. Here's the problem. When you have a virus in the body, it spreads because that's what viruses do. They multiply and they spread. And when you have the NSA and the DHS and the FBI who are operating with these same programs, but with legal impunity and immunity, it's no surprise to find out that the virus has traveled down to the big toe and to the knee joint and the elbow joint and the shoulder joint. The ACLU got involved in this case, and they say when police use invasive surveillance equipment to surreptitiously sweep up information about location and communications of large numbers of people, court oversight and public debate are essential. I stop right there. I get the ACLU's attempt to try to do this, and I know the argument that law enforcement's going to put out. It's worth it. And I'm saying to you, go back and listen to Mr. Ben Franklin when he said to you that if you give up all of your privacy and you give up everything so that you will be safe, You have lost everything. The ACLU is leading an effort now to try to determine exactly how widespread, this tracking is in Florida. And this is, the ACLU, if you don't know, each state has their own ACLU. And so this ACLU is obviously the Florida division or whatever. They announced a public records submission Monday, which is, I'm sure, an FOIA, to nearly 30 police departments and sheriff's departments across the state. The court records on this particular guy's appeal show that the Tallahassee Police Department did not seek any search warrants in the Thomas case because, quote, it did not want to reveal information about the technology they used to track the cell phone signal. Come on, people. You got to be kidding me. I mean, who are they to unilaterally make that determination? That none of us have a right to know, even though we're all involved. Even though it's our personal information and our personal conversations and our locations that are being captured along with Captain Criminal. Well, they know what's best, right? The Tallahassee Police Department said that the Stingray was loaned to the department from a private manufacturer who required a non-disclosure agreement. Wait until you see what this argument is that they gave the court. It makes me so mad because if you tried to use this kind of an argument to defend bank robbery or any kind of criminal activity you were in, they would throw the book at you. Just wait. Listen to this. So their argument was that the Stingray was loaned from a private manufacturer who required a non-disclosure agreement. Quote, a non-disclosure agreement is typically a civil agreement between two or more parties over a commercial contract. That's Christopher Torres, the Tallahassee defense lawyer, right? Here's what Torres says. They're saying, because it's a cell phone, and I apologize, he is not representing or defending Tallahassee Police Department. He says, they're saying because it's a cell phone, they don't have to get a warrant, but it's basically a wiretap. You cannot say something is protected by a trade agreement and that somehow that trade agreement trumps the U.S. Constitution. Well, listen, I had to rob the bank because I had signed an agreement that said I would. And of course, that trumps law. That trumps the rule and the rights of those people that were terrified or I shot during the course of the robbery. That trumps the law of the insurance, the rules and the protections that our rule of law gives to the insurance companies and the bank who lost money. Ars Technica, and that's where I gave you the link to the other article, has an article out there that says Stingrays are exclusively manufactured by Harris Corporation. Now, for those of you who don't know who Harris Corporation is, do your homework. They're a Melbourne-based telecommunications company. They earn $5 billion in annual revenue, and they supply electronic equipment to government, defense, and commercial sectors. Ars Technica reports that since 2004, Harris has earned more than $40 million from spy technology contracts with city, state, and federal authorities in the United States. And that's based on procurement records. We don't know how many of these are out there on loan for a modest stipend. How many are pilot projects, like the Tallahassee Police Department? Here's the problem, folks. They're taking their lead from on high. And not a single one of these people, because they're looking at it myopically. Well, I'm only looking at this from the perspective of law enforcement, and that girl was entitled to get her phone back. Not at the expense of millions of other people's rights. This is not Machiavellian. The ends justify the means 101. I want the girl to have her cell phone back too. But it doesn't give you the right to kick in every door in the community and search everybody's underwear drawer in an effort to find it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem. You see, they're ingraining and indoctrinating you with the principle that anything goes to solve the smallest, most insignificant, incremental little break of the law. I grant you, stealing is wrong. But it doesn't warrant and justify the ability for an out-of-control law enforcement agency in your city, in your town, to violate everyone else's rights in an attempt to find it. Theft has been going on since men were capable of looking at the stars and saying, I am sentient, I exist. Ugh. He has a haunch of bison over there that looks good, and I'm going to go take it. It's been wrong for all eternity. And it's going to be with us for all eternity. At least on the earth. The point is, that does not give anyone the right to say, unilaterally, I am in charge and I can do whatever I want to make sure that I get that girl's cell phone back. And I don't care how many people's rights I've got to step on and trample into the dirt. I don't care whether I've got to hurt someone else. I don't care whether I've got to kick in a door and find that his mother comes to the door and she doesn't understand what the heck is going on, and we're going to shoot her because she grabs a hold of a family shotgun standing in the corner. All so that Cindy can have her cell phone back? Please. The truth of the matter is, this is the same nonsensical garbage that we keep seeing over and over and over and over again. This is the same justification they give for kicking in the door and shooting Grandma McGillicuddy. Well, she didn't show up in court for that hearing, and we were serving a warrant. Did you knock? Well, we don't have to knock. You don't? Since when? Well, it turned out to be the wrong house anyway. Nah, no kidding. So Grandma McGillicuddy grabbed the family shotgun, and boom, she found out she had 32 bullet holes in her. From a bunch of trigger-happy nincompoops. Well, I got all this training. Doggone it, I'm using it. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, at what point in time do we recognize, that this is out of control? And that the only way that it's going to stop is when we stand up and say, it's going to stop. All right, before we run out of time, there's a couple things I want to remind you about. On Monday, Common Sense Property Rights Coalition is meeting, and they're going to meet in Mammoth Springs at the Spring Dipper on Highway 63. Now, if you're not a member of one of these property rights coalition groups and you're local in the area, you have no idea, one, that you're missing out on a great opportunity to learn an enormous amount of information from a bunch of people that really work hard to try to help our own communities. But more important than that, you're not doing your part to help the rest of us fight against this exact kind of thing I was just talking about. These property rights coalition groups actively go out there and fight aggressively for your property rights. And you're the beneficiary, so the least you can do is show up and help. It doesn't cost any money. You're not required to pay any dues. All it takes is your time and your interest and engagement. One of the things that they're going to do on this particular episode on Monday night is they're going to have Kevin Jotz, who's a police officer in the community here, but he is a retired LAPD officer. And he's a Medal of Valor winner, and he's currently a police officer in Somersville. And he's going to explain what citizens' rights are during a police stop. And we're actually going to probably do a role play thing. And how probable cause is used or misused and how you can retain your rights, how you should respond in that kind of a confrontational situation. We see tons and tons and tons of examples lately of police, abusing their classification as the law. Here's an opportunity for you to learn how to respond appropriately and safely. Jotz believes that many area police officers simply do not understand the law themselves, and that many citizens are stopped and searched without probable cause or a legal right by the officer to conduct the search. The best legal defense is the knowledge of the law and a citizen's rights, said Jotz. If you want more information on how you can go or where it's held or anything else about it, 417-264-2435. It's 417-264-2435. Mike Slack and Kevin are both the co-sponsors of this group. There are other groups. Bob Parker and Doreen Hannes run one out in Mountain Grove that is next week. You guys, if you're not participating in these, you are really missing a great opportunity to help yourselves and help your communities out. So these were the groups that kicked off the Blue Ways fight, that kicked off the Ozark Scenic National Riverways fight. So don't tell me that they're powerless and that they don't bring any. And when these state representatives and federal representatives hear from these people, they respond. Secondarily, there's this weekend at Mountain Grove, there's that gun show that's going to be held at the YMCA, Mountain Grove YMCA. And Chad Tanner, my friend out there from Red River Guns, is going to be out there, and he's got a lot of repair and replacement parts for AR rifles. And so, including whole upper assemblies for 7.62 by 39, so you can convert your .223 into a 7.62 by 39, which is a heavier caliber bullet, maybe not quite as accurate for such great distances, but it has a whole lot more punch close up. Great home defense round. And he'll be in Mountain Grove. He's also got a website called Red River Guns, and we're talking about trying to help him bring that up to speed and through my web development company. So full disclosure. But anyway, he's got all kinds of repair and replacement parts, including springs and pins and grips and buttstocks and all kinds of stuff that you want to have access to. So I would get over there and make sure that you see him. His name is Chad. He will be at that show. It is Saturday from 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 3, and again, it's Red River Guns. Give him a chance to talk with you about your needs. It's always a good idea to have plenty of backup replacement parts in these types of for these types of weapons. So don't miss that opportunity. Okay, we're going to wrap up our show today. I would like for you to communicate with me. You can do so by getting to me at mike@americasvoicenow.org. I want to hear your feedback. Was this a good episode, a bad episode? Don't send me email with a link to a YouTube video and tell me, watch this. I don't watch them. You're wasting your time. I don't have the time to watch them. I have to run a business after I get out of here and try to feed my own family. So since I do this voluntarily and it actually costs me money, don't waste my time. I don't mean to be harsh, but I do mean to be clear. Don't send me a link and say, watch this. It explains exactly how I feel. If you can't take the time to write down exactly how you feel, don't waste my time. I do want to hear from you, but, be cognizant of my time and value that, because I do. Okay, you can reach me at mike@americasvoicenow.org. Have a great day. We will see you Monday. I would like